In September 2022, we finally made it to Zion National Park. This was a destination we have been looking forward to for quite some time. We did Angel's Landing 2 days after this hike, but released that video first. You can see it on our channel. After a very early start, we caught one of the first shuttles out of the visitor center and headed to the Senawaba Temple, stop number 9. The beginning of the unique Narrows hike started with a very mundane, paved 1-mile sidewalk to get to the river.
Amazing, just that little bit, how strong of a current it is. All right, our first water crossing.
There were going to be numerous water crossings to come. The Narrows is where the Virgin River carves a 16-mile stretch that is up to 2,000 feet deep and can be as narrow as 20 feet. The soaring sandstone walls have grottos, natural springs, and hanging gardens. To reach the bottom-up hike, you take the Zion National Park shuttle to the last stop. Follow the 1-mile paved walkway that leads to the water. After that, you will be hiking in and alongside the river for the next almost 4 miles. The turnaround point is Big Spring. To hike beyond this point, you are required to obtain a wilderness permit, which is the same permit required to do the top-down hike from Chamberlain's Ranch. There are no restroom facilities once you leave the shuttle stop, so you should be prepared to pack any waste out with you if the need arises. We arrived in Hurricane, Utah on the 1st of September and were greeted with a string of days well exceeding the century mark. In the first 8 days of our visit, the high temperature in Zion National Park ranged from 102 to 111. Finally, on the 9th, we topped out at a mere 97. The weather was perfect the day we hiked the Narrows, but it felt a little on the cool side at the start, a chilly 77 degrees, particularly considering we were walking in the water in the shade for a good portion of the hike. But the day was forecast to be sunny and over 100 degrees, which proved to be accurate as the temperature hit 106 this day. Starting early also keeps any sun off of you. We didn't have any direct sunlight until we were well on the return leg of the hike due to the height of the canyon walls. Group sizes are limited to 12 people sharing the same affiliation, such as school, club, troop, family, and friends. Another advantage to getting an early start is there are far fewer people on the hike at the beginning. We encountered considerably more people in the final stretch in the river, making the hike a little less enjoyable. Many people only hike out to Mystery Falls, which is only about 1/4 mile in the river of the bottom-up hike. Most people don't go past Wall Street, which is about 3 miles into this hike. As for our gear, we opted to rent footwear, neoprene socks and waterproof hiking boots, hiking poles, and a dry bag. We didn't need the dry bag, but it was nice to know that if there had been a fall, our non-water resistant equipment would have been protected. Some people hike without the socks and boots designed for river hiking, but we feel it was a worthwhile expense to get these. Some form of walking stick is an almost required piece of equipment. It not only provides stability in times of unsure footing, but provides a means of checking the depth of the river water before committing yourself. Our clothing consisted of swimming material shorts and quick dry shirts. If you hike during the colder times of the year, you might need a wetsuit or even a dry suit to do this hike. You have to make sure you bring enough water with you, especially if you're going to hike all the way to Big Spring. Our hike ended up being over 7 hours. We used Camelback hydration systems for our water, and we brought our lunch and some snacks.
Almost to the turnaround.
The water was probably at a low point during our hike. We seldom encountered water above our knees. We're tall, so height may vary for you. The literature does say the faster the water runs, the deeper it will be. Some water holes can be chest deep, and you should be prepared to swim. The deepest water we went through was only about mid-thigh, but we avoided any obviously deeper sections of the river. You should definitely check to see what the river flow is doing and know if there are any upstream storms forecast that could cause flash flooding. Flash flooding is always a threat, so you should be aware of the signs of this rapidly occurring phenomena. The Park Service does have a warning system for flash flooding, so be alert to these warnings.
I'm gonna keep left on this one. Say hi.
This is a unique hike, and we would definitely recommend you do it if you're in the Zion National Park area. Our preference would be to do it while the weather is still very warm, but that is when it is most crowded. In that case, start early and be prepared to run into lots more people on your return. But if you only have time for one hike, we would recommend doing Angel's Landing over the Narrows. Since Angel's Landing requires a permit, you can always try to get the permit and, if that fails, do the Narrows instead. You will know early enough if you don't get the permit for Angel's Landing to go and rent your hiking equipment for the Narrows for the next day. But pay attention to the weather for both of these awesome hikes. riding back on the shuttle wasn't as bad as we thought it might be. Since the last mile is on the paved walkway, you have some time to dry out. As stated, the water was seldom above our knees, so we were mostly dry for the entire hike. But wet shoes are heavy, and it was nice when we finally got them off, which we did immediately upon returning to our truck. A short walk from the visitor center parking area seemed much longer at the end of a 10-mile trek through water.